Good afternoon. Today we are celebrating something truly special, the power and the potential that each one of you hold. You may hear that a lot, but let me say it loud. You are the next generation of leaders, and I would ask you to repeat after me. We are the next generation of leaders. Now, I want you to say it as if you believe that now, okay? We are the next generation of leaders. We are the thinkers. We are the doers. We are the change makers. And you are the change makers who will take us into the future. And that future is not so distant. It's right around the corner, waiting for your ideas, your voices, your action, because you're going to be prepared to bring it. Some of you already may have a vision of what you want to do, whether it's solving the world's problems, creating art, moving people, leading businesses, or advocating for those who don't have a voice. Others of you may be trying to figure out what you're going to do. That's okay. The journey is discovery. The journey to discovering your purpose is part of the adventure. A good example, I was an educator before I became a legislator and loved every day in the classroom. But here I am today, combining my passion and my purpose as I welcome you to our annual Youth Congress Day. I want to say thank you to your classroom teachers, your sponsors, advisors, your parents, everyone every individual that was responsible for your being here today. And I would like for each one of us to give a round of applause for the fact that you're here. So now I'd like to take a moment at this particular time to introduce a remarkable leader, one who has dedicated herself to serving our great city and its people, Mayor Muriel Bowser. As the mayor of Washington, D.C., a round of applause. She is a tireless advocate for our community, a champion for equity, a champion for progress, and a shining example of leadership in action. We are honored to have her with us today and to help you to celebrate this incredible gathering. Welcome, Mayor Bowser. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody, and let's give your president a big round of applause. I am really honored to be here, and when I was presented with the opportunity to greet you, I jumped at it. I was so happy that the caucus would be meeting here in Washington, D.C., and including young people in the conversations. I know you've spent this morning diving into the world of public policy, and that makes me feel really good. I know that you have talked about the importance of voting, talked about the Congress and the legislative process. So those are the things to be learning about if you're interested in public service, and there's no better place to be doing it than Washington, D.C. So by participating today, you have demonstrated a commitment to being active and informed, and like Madam President has said, being the next generation of leaders. The elected officials who have gathered here today have already made a significant choice. They have made the choice to stand up, to be scrutinized, to take questions, to make tough decisions, but more importantly, to make the best decisions that they know how for the most people in their communities. And that has certainly been my job. So being an active citizen means understanding what your role in the process will be. Some will be like the caucus members and stand for election and go to school boards, state houses, city halls, and make decisions for their communities. Others will be policymakers, agency directors. Some of you will get involved in campaigns or fundraising. And all of those jobs are important to the political process. I have the privilege of being mayor of my hometown. Where are all our DC kids? Thank you for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. And I say frequently to people that if you love politics and policy, it is absolutely the best job that you can have, to be mayor of your hometown. My journey starts right here in Washington, inspired by my family and community to pursue a job in public service. In D.C., we have a role called Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner. Some of you know who your commissioners are. It's a volunteer office. You serve 2,000 residents, and you advise people in the government what your neighborhood needs. And I think it's the best training where you learn how to block by block make neighborhoods better. And that's actually how I started my journey in public office. And in just a few weeks, on January 2nd, I will celebrate my 10th year as being mayor. And since then, we have focused on how to make sure every Washingtonian gets a fair shot. And what do we mean by that? In our city and in cities and towns around our nation, what we're really trying to do is work with the resources that we have to make sure that all of our residents can live up to their God-given potential, use their talents, and be able to educate and raise their families. And that's what getting a fair shot means. And depending on where you are and what the economy is, it's tougher than in other places. And so for us, we know that living in the district, you have to have a good job and earn a good income to be able to afford a great life for yourself and your family. So we have organized the government around how do we make sure everybody gets a fair shot. So that means they have a great school, a safe neighborhood, access to transportation, access to good health care, and all of the training that they need to get a good job. I am honored to follow in the footsteps of Mayor Marion Barry, who was a 4-time mayor of Washington, D.C., civil rights leader, and a bigger-than-life figure. In Marion, we just dedicated a new mural to him. Was equally committed to young people as he was to senior citizens, equally focused on economic development in the downtown as he was to fair housing in all 8 wards. And so that type of leadership and fight is what the next generation of leaders needs. That commitment and fight. So certainly you guys are growing up in uncertain times. It is so incumbent of us that we're training up the next generation of leaders to certainly be competent, to certainly gain political skills, but also to think about what it takes to make tough decisions and to stand up for what's right. And one thing that Marion Barry taught me, and I share with all, we can teach skills, we can teach lessons, but you have to have courage in the fight and the fire in your belly to do what's right. So start thinking about now what your place and what your role is going to be in this fight, not just for our democracy, but for your future. And ask yourselves, what do you need to do to get prepared? So it may be what you focus on in high school. It may be the majors that you choose in college. It may be your extracurricular activities. It may be making decisions about where you're going to volunteer or intern so that you have all the skills that you need to fight, but also you're feeding your passion for your communities and for your people and for your future. So I am blessed with a sense of optimism. I know, especially for our city, that we've done the hard work to be ready for an uncertain future. I know that we are ready to train our kids for the jobs of the future. We're ready to invest in the types of housing that we know will help us build more DC residents and more families like mine. And so we need to be able to count on you as well, don't we, elected officials? Because this is the thing I know, and I'm sure I speak for all of them. We can stand up on a podium, we can stand up in a church hall or wherever we're called on to talk about the tough decisions that we have to make. And sometimes that can be a lonely place. But it's better when we have an informed and fired up electorate and community that stands beside us and behind us, and sometimes in front of us, pulling us to the decisions that are best. And that's why we're so committed to make sure we're pouring into our next generation of leaders. So, to all who are DC residents and all who are visiting, welcome to your nation's capital. Enjoy your nation's capital. Please use the DC government as a resource for the things that you're working on. We're proud of the work that we have done in public safety, in affordable housing, in transforming public education, and we're happy to be a resource for you all. Thank you for choosing DC.